Hey everyone, it's Amy. Okay, you've been asking me what to do with the foam roller, especially if you have something going on like an injury, and how to open up chest and shoulders and back. And so I filmed something for you and I want you to try it. Don't just watch it the first time, but follow along with me, and hopefully it'll open up your chest and shoulders, release tension in your low back, stretch out your hamstrings, and give you a little bit more relief in your neck as well. So follow along. In case you haven't heard the news, I had surgery a week ago this past Friday on my elbow, and I broke actually part of my forearm in my elbow. So I've been in this contraption now for more than a week. And if you've ever been in a sling before, you know that, oh God, it is constantly pulling and tugging at the shoulders, which makes me go into forward flexion, and I'm sure I'm not alone. And it pulls the shoulders forward, it pulls through the abdominals, it's straining in my back. I'm fortunate enough where I can take this off every now and again. So I'm gonna show you some things that I have found super helpful on the foam roller to kind of get my body back into groove. So I'm gonna take this off for a moment. And you can see that my cast is actually a half cast, runs from my wrist all the way up to the top, and it's hard on the bottom. So I've been in this kind of weird bent shape for quite a while now, and my body definitely feels it. So every night I use the foam roller regardless of what's going on with my arm and elbow, and I'm gonna show you that I actually start with the glutes. And I'm just gonna go through this fairly quickly. You probably have foam rollers at home. Stop looking at them, start using them. I use it every night. But in this situation, I will roll the glutes out first, and typically I put the other hand down. Obviously, I can't do that right now, so you do what you need to do for you. If you have two hands right now, I'm really jealous. So I'm gonna roll the glutes out, and you can see that I'm lifting on one side to roll the other, keeping my shoulders down. And then I'm going to take a minute to roll my back out, and I'll take both hands usually behind my head. I want my tush down toward the floor, and I want my head up high. My abdominals engaged, and I'm using my feet to push through the foam roller. So how long do I stay in each area? I might do anywhere from 15 to 20 rolls up and down. And remember, when you're foam rolling, you always want to go fairly slowly. You're not looking to rush. It's not like you're trying to paint a wall and be super fast with it. You want a long, even stroke if we're thinking painting. So I may end up in another room when I'm foam rolling if I'm using my feet and kind of pushing through and walking. But if I'm just trying to stay in a shorter place, I'll just push off and stay in the same place with it. Next, I'll come back up and I'll actually go and stretch my hamstrings. This is the best hamstring stretch for anybody who's really tight in their hamstrings and their glutes, regardless of any sport you may play. I like this the best. So I'm actually gonna start on this side. So I have one leg straight, my tush is on the foam roller. This hand can be anywhere on the floor, and this hand is reaching toward my leg. I don't care if it's on your shin bone, your ankle, your toes, it doesn't matter, as long as your shoulders are relaxed. I'm not rolling on this one. I'm gonna stay put for just a couple of breath cycles, inhaling through my nose, exhale through the mouth. And then after every couple of breath cycles, I'm gonna roll backwards a little further, so my tush is hanging off the foam roller. The foam roller starts to press into the belly of the hamstring, and ideally, as I'm in this position, this foot is off to the side. I'm going to continue moving the foam roller further and further down toward the back of the knee after X number of breath cycles. It could be 5, it could be 50, and just stay and stretch. If you're tight in your calf or tight in your hamstring, this is by far the best stretch and breathing into it out of anything you could do. Once you've gone all the way down on one side, I'm changing just for balance and stability, and I'll go to the other side. So again, I start with the foam roller right at the base between the glute and the hamstring, which I've affectionately named the thigh, right at your butt and your thigh. And then after X number of breath cycles, rolling back again. So I do this a lot. Like I said, I foam roll every night, and it doesn't matter that I have a broken elbow or not, but I'm always stretching at the end of the day. And I've added so many more things in lately just to open me up, because I've been so tight from being pulled in the sling all day long. So I'm gonna move this again just to make it a little bit easier. And so this time I'm actually going to sit on the very edge of the foam roller. And I obviously like the long foam roller for all of this work, because if you're using one that's really short, it doesn't really work the same way. So my head and my tush are on the foam roller, it's against my spine. I'm gonna take my arms in whatever position I can go into. So for me, this is right here. And then I'm gonna open up the chest a little further. And I want the back of my ribs to stay on the foam roller. And I want my eyes forward versus up, because I don't wanna squish the discs in my cervical spine. I want my neck nice and long.
So whatever position works best for you for your arms, I'm gonna keep the belly tight. I'm gonna bring the arms together and open out. And I feel a stretch all the way across my chest and my pecs, the front of the shoulders, and I can feel the shoulder blades coming together toward my spine. So I feel my rhomboids activating and my scapular. I want my feet flat to the floor, my belly nice and tight. And then if it works for you to go a little bit higher and a little bit lower, think of opening up the wings, opening up the lats, keeping my belly nice and tight. So I don't want to arch my back at any point during these movement patterns. And I'm going slowly and where I can tolerate, right? What works best for me and my range of motion for my shoulders. So if your arms can work to be in a straight position, that's great. Obviously that's not working for me right now. Another thing I'll do is bring the hands to the floor, and obviously this one doesn't go all the way down, so I'm gonna keep it at my belly and just roll the foam roller over a little bit so it's pressing against the scapular. And if I end up with some knots in there, I can just kind of stay put and let that stretch out. And it's a huge help. And then I'll go to the other side. Again, staying as tolerated as long as I need to stay there. So it might be 5 breath cycles, inhaling through the nose, exhale through the mouth. It might be 25. And this hand is down on the floor, but if I want to increase or change the stretch, I can lift this hand off the floor a couple of inches, palm up, and really feel that stretch again into my shoulder blade. I actually feel it up into my neck and out through my chest into my bicep tendon and fingers. So if you're somebody that gets really tight in your forearm from a lot of texting and typing, this can be super, super helpful. Another one I'll do is scooch to the edge of the foam roller. So the edge of the foam roller is against the occipital ridge in the skull. So right in the soft spot back here where if a massage therapist pushes in, it can release your trapezius. So if I'm here, I'm gonna turn my head and do a no. I'm gonna turn my head to one side, pressing as much as I can into the edge of the foam roller, come back to center, keeping my eyes open so I don't make myself dizzy, and then off to the other side. And I can not only feel this massive stretch going into the traps all the way down, but also releasing through the base of the skull. So just don't let your eyes close. You don't want to make yourself dizzy, I should say. And then once you're done with this, and it could be 5 or 6 times, you're gonna do a yes, and so you'll drop your chin down toward your chest and then lift your chin up to the sky. And again, I'm pressing the edge of the foam roller right at the base of the skull to release all of those tight muscles. So if you're somebody that gets a lot of tension in your neck and shoulders, this is awesome for that. Once I'm done here, I'll scooch back down a little bit, and I'm going to start with some bridges because I want to get some articulation through my spine and keep the chest nice and open. So you can have both hands on the floor. In this case, I have one. My chest and shoulders are nice and relaxed. My feet are separated about hip distance apart and flat. I'm going to tip the pubic bone up to the sky and press through the feet. I want to keep the pubic bone tipped up as I peel up. And then I'm going to melt from the back of the heart all the way back down, keeping this pelvic tilt. And then when I release at the end, if I want to tip the pelvis in the opposite direction, you can see that my back is arching a little bit, just to get the complete contrast between an anterior and posterior pelvic tilt. So again, I'm going to tip the pubic bone up, keep the chest and shoulders wide. Exhale as I peel up, pubic bone toward my nose. Inhale at the top, and exhale as I lower back down 1 vertebrae at a time to the very edge. Good, one more inhale, pelvic tilt. And you can try anywhere from 5 to 10 of these, pressing through the feet. Inhale at the top, and exhale, articulating the spine on the way back down. From here, I would stack both hands. Right now I only have one behind my head and neck, supporting right at that occipital ridge again. I'm gonna keep my eyes forward, and I'm gonna peel up into some crunches. So I wanna think about that same articulation of the spine as I peel up. I have enough space under my chin for my fist, and I'm peeling off the foam roller, keeping the belly nice and tight. Eyes are forward to my knees, and I might do anywhere from 10 to 20 of these. Getting the abdominals engaged, pressing the feet through the floor. I'll do 2 more here, and 1 more, and then come back down, and then I might take it to some obliques. So I'll come up and twist and go back to center. I can either come all the way back down if I feel like I need the break at that moment, or I can alternate from one side to the other. Again, I would have both hands behind my head and working the oblique twist, keeping the feet flat to the floor and trying to keep the foam roller nice and still. I'll do 4 more, and 3, and 2, and 1, and they come all the way back down. Excellent. Okay, so from this position, I would bring both hands back down to the floor, and I'm going to float one or both legs to tabletop. Now it depends how strong your abdominals are. If you've done this before, you might need both hands down. I'm gonna start with a toe tap. So I'm moving from the hip, exhaling on the way back up. I don't know if you can see that my body's shaking, but I am working as I'm doing this. I might start with 3 to 10 on one leg and then switch. And notice how I'm keeping my knee nice and still, moving directly from the hips. My abs are tight, and I'm working really hard at keeping my back flat to the floor. Now to challenge myself further, I'll bring the legs together, keep the back flat. I don't want to arch, and I don't want to touch the floor. So again, I'm moving from those hips. I feel my low abs working like crazy. I feel that six pack, the rectus having to work like crazy. I also want my eyes forward to my knees, and exhale. And again, anywhere from 5 to 10 here, and then all the way back down. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to show you to stretch some things out again is I'm going to extend my legs out in front of me, and I want the hips to just to flop for a minute and be really open. I'm going to tip the pelvis down toward the floor, stretching the abdominals, letting the back arch, and then tip back up. I'm going to turn my feet so my heels glue to the floor. We're going to do a Pilates roll up. As I exhale, arm comes up. I'm going to tuck my chin and roll all the way up and stretch all the way forward for a minute. And then restack all the way up. Okay, so that's just a few things that I do on the foam roller to open up my chest and shoulders, stretch through my back, release the tension in my neck, and activate my core, especially after wearing that all day long. So, have any questions? Let me know. Otherwise, enjoy, and I'll see you soon. Peace.